Hey guys, John V here from Phone Arena. Right now you're watching our video comparison between the new kid on the block, the BlackBerry Z10, and of course the always familiar Apple iPhone 5. Now you're probably wondering which handset to go with, whether or not you want to stick with the tried and true, very familiar iPhone 5, or if you want to try something brand new, dive into the BlackBerry OS 10 experience on the BlackBerry Z10. We're going to find out in this video comparison right now. Just looking at the two, it's quite obvious that there are similarities between their designs, but we have to still go with the iPhone 5 just because it has just a more solid build quality to it. On top of that, it just feels like the more premium handset between the two, especially when they're going to be both priced at $200 to your contract. The iPhone 5 is slightly thinner and also lighter than its rival here, and of course the choice of materials are drastically different. You get that brushed aluminum casing on the iPhone 5 versus just a plastic body with the Z10. And the Z10 comes off a little bit on the bland side and just lacks that premium element to make it really enticing. So above the displays, they feature the same items. You have, of course, the earpieces, you have light and proximity sensors, front-facing camera is a 2-megapixel one on the Z10 versus the 1.2-megapixel one in the iPhone 5. They both had the ability to shoot 720p videos, but we do appreciate the one thing on the Z10, which is actually an LED notification light. As for their physical buttons, we have to hand it to the iPhone 5 just because both its power button and also volume controls are more distinguishable to the touch than the Z10's more flat feel of its buttons. Luckily, they both exhibit really nice responses when you press them down. When it comes to charging data connectivity, we definitely appreciate the standardized ports on the Z10. You have a micro USB port for charging data connectivity, and of course you have Apple's new proprietary Lightning port. In addition to the Z10, it also features a useful micro HDMI out port for quick and easy video out functionality. In the rear of both handsets, we have their 8-megapixel autofocus cameras with LED flashes. They both also have the ability to shoot 1080p videos. Nowadays, most of the high-end smartphones out there feature closed designs, so you don't have access to their batteries. So that's why I really appreciate the BlackBerry Z10. It actually has a removable battery. In addition to that, you have also a very useful micro SD card slot to increase its storage capacity. 16 gigabytes inside of it. The iPhone 5, of course, comes in 16, 32, and 64. And finally, with the Z10, it also features NFC. Even though it might look that both handsets have the same size displays, it's actually the Z10 that has the larger and higher resolution screen between the two. It's a 4.2-inch 768 by 1280 IPS LCD panel versus the iPhone 5's 4-inch 1136 by 640 IPS LCD display. So on paper, the Z10 has the higher pixel density, but honestly, they're both very sharp and it's really negligible. It's really hard to tell which one's the better between the two, just because in the zoomed out view in the web browser, we're still able to make out fine details even from a normal viewing distance away. Now the difference here is just the color reproduction. They're both IPS LCD panels, but the iPhone 5 just has a little bit more of a warmer tone to it. It gives it a sense of vibrancy, so it does come off slightly more appealing to the eye. But the biggest thing here is just the viewing angles. The iPhone 5 maintains its clarity, whereas the Z10 has a slight distortion to it at extreme angles. They're both great for outdoor visibility, but we get the slight advantage to the iPhone 5. Essentially, it comes down to the platform experience. You have iOS versus BlackBerry 10. We'll hand it to BlackBerry 10 for having a slightly more polished look thanks to the heavy usage of various transition effects that we really appreciate. Just like the lock screen, you have this cool fading effect and also this neat stacking effect with the app panel. But as you can tell here in the home screen, they kind of look very similar to one another. But there's just a little bit better polished look with the BlackBerry 10 experience. Despite its static look, if there's one thing we really like about iOS, the fact that it's very simplistic and easy. So essentially, if you give this to someone who's never used it before, they'll pretty much get it right away. They'll be able to actually navigate with ease. Whereas with the BlackBerry 10 experience on the Z10, there's a little bit more complexity with it. We do appreciate that they added a lot of gestures to take advantage of the full touch experience, such as the peek view right there, and also gaining access to the BlackBerry Hub, but it does contribute to a higher learning curve. Notifications are handled differently with both platforms. With iOS, we just like the fact that it's quickly accessed in the notifications panel. You just do a swipe down feature, and from here, you can quickly see them. It's not a hassle. With the BlackBerry 10 experience, you can get into peek view by using the gesture like so. It just tells you how many notifications you have, and you could move to the right to get into your BlackBerry hub. Now, there's a little bit more work in getting access to it, and that's the thing about it. And from here, it breaks it down to different types of notifications. You could view everything in a unified inbox with the hub, or you could just check them out separately. Again, on the iPhone 5 and its iOS experience, it takes the direct approach when it comes to handling multitasking. All you gotta do is just double tap the home button, of course, and you quickly jump in between your opened applications. So it's very quick and easy. But though with the BlackBerry 10 experience, we definitely like the more visual polish it has to offer. For example, when you're in an application, just do the swipe up gesture, and from here, it just minimizes it and puts it as an active frame. Now, there's this section here in the home screen of BlackBerry 10 just for the active frames, and we do like the fact that some applications, very few right now, when you minimize them, for example, the weather one, it turns into a mini widget of sorts, which is very useful. At their core, both handsets excel when it comes to the messaging experience. They both feature very responsive rates. On top of that, spacious layouts. You have voice dictation too, so you could actually speak what you want. They're fairly accurate. And of course, they both offer killer autocorrect features. But we have to give the BlackBerry Z10 a slight advantage just because it's a little bit deeper with its offerings. For example, you get a slightly larger layout and also implements all these different gestures to get into different layouts, whereas with the iPhone 5, you got to tap on the button to gain access to them. And finally, the BlackBerry 10 experience has this cool way of doing predictive text where you could just swipe up on the selected word. Honestly, both handsets are wonderful when it comes to the email experience. They both pretty much employ the same layout. You have a strictly scrollable listing here, and of course setup is a breeze. You just put in your email address and your password 9-10 times. It automatically will set up. You really can't go wrong with either handset when it comes to the web browsing experience. It's just really great, whether it's the BlackBerry 10 browser or Safari Mobile. You're going to get a wonderful experience. They load up pages very quickly just because they both feature 4G LTE connectivity. They offer really nice, smooth kinetic scrolling, pinch zooming, and they also offer similarities with their functionality. You could share web pages to either Facebook, Twitter, and they have tab viewing as well. But the BlackBerry Z10 has support for Flash, so you do get a slight advantage with that. We're going to go with the iPhone 5 with the music player just because it has a better presentation. Specifically, you get that really cool feature of cover flow, so you have a very neat way of actually browsing through your selection. Whereas with the BlackBerry 10 experience on the Z10, that's a little bit more static and mundane. As far as the audio quality from the respective speakers, the iPhone 5 has a slight stronger output and also sounds cleaner. As expected, both handsets deliver the goods when it comes to watching videos. Their screens are bright and vivid, of course, and they play videos with no problems at all. Good playback and barely any lag or slowdown. On the flip side, it's the iPhone 5 that wins it in the 1080p high-definition video recording quality. Overall, it's just significantly sharper looking. With the Z10, of course, details tend to be softer in tone, but the biggest distracting element is just the heavy presence of artifacting when you're panning, even very slowly. It's nice that both handsets offer free turn-by-turn directions, voice-guided directions with the respective Maps applications. You have BlackBerry Maps on the Z10 and, of course, Apple Maps on the iPhone 5. But with the BlackBerry Maps, it's very basic and bare bones. You don't even get things like a satellite view with it. And when you search for points of interest, it provides very minimal information about them. In contrast, the iPhone 5 might not be the best in terms of the Maps application, but at least you get cool features like satellite view, 3D Maps view, and of course better information in terms of details for points of interest. And on top of that, as an alternative, you also could use Google Maps with the iPhone 5, which is not available yet with BlackBerry 10. Another area worth pointing out is their respective voice control services. With the BlackBerry 10, it offers a very basic one, which allows you to do things like compose messages and schedule appointments, but that's pretty much the extent of its functionality, whereas with Siri, it's smarter in the fact that it can answer specific detailed questions. So we'll quickly demo that here for you. Who is Michael Jordan? So here we go. It's going to search for that. With the BlackBerry Z10, 9-10 times, it doesn't give you relevant information or answers. Instead, it just simply asks you if you want to do a web search on it. Whereas with Siri, of course, you get things like detailed information, and you can also do conversions and stuff. Call quality is nearly identical. The voices on both ends of the line are clear, distinctive, very audible, and at the same time, their noise cancellation features work rather well. The only issues we found were related to their speakerphone quality. With the iPhone 5, voices tend to have a little bit of distortion to them, and the latest setting with the Z10, it has a little bit of a strain to it. In our experience, it's the iPhone 5 that provides for the better battery life. Now, we're using the Sprint version connected to its EVDO 3G network, and with the Z10, we're using it under AT&T's HSP Plus connection. Now, we get a full day of normal usage out of the iPhone 5, whereas with the Z10, it taps out roughly at the 10-hour mark, so you're going to constantly have to charge the Z10. And of course, they both have LTE connectivity, so you can expect the battery drain to be significantly more with that connection. When the BlackBerry Z10 launches here in the US, it's going to be sporting a $200 on-contract price point, which is the same thing as the iPhone 5, the base 16GB version. Now, it's a tough call for some people, but honestly, as we look at the performance and the feature set, it seems as though the iPhone 5 just offers the better value between the two. With the BlackBerry Z10, we appreciate that it has a more dynamic-looking user experience. It has a quick and easy video out functionality with the micro HDMI out port. Yeah, the removable battery and a micro SD card slot, so it's nice in that aspect, but it doesn't quite compete in terms of performance with the iPhone 5. It has the better camera, battery life, and of course just looks like the more premium handset between the two. Not only that, but you just have a deeper ecosystem with the iPhone 5 and iOS. Better maps experience, you have the voice control service with Siri, which is far better than the basic one on the Z10, and of course third-party applications are abundant with the iPhone 5, which isn't the same thing we could say about the Z10 right now. So if you'd like to learn more about both handsets, guys, you can check out our website, phonereno.com. It's John V. Thanks for watching.